Hi, I don't know how to pronounce your name. Sael Plani? Is that it? You might, maybe you should tell me. Yeah, well, I mean, I said the whole thing in the videos, but I will clarify. I mean, the emphasis of the fighting back thing is to point out to these people, they say, oh, well, I have no sympathy for these people that committed suicide because you just got to fight back to your bully like I do. And I'm pointing out that that means fighting all bullies, including people bullying other people, and that that's what society needs to do. And when we're getting up in arms about this stuff, that would what needs to happen. People that point out are like, "Oh well, suicide is glorified." Yeah, I know all kinds of things are glorified. So what? It's not a big problem. I don't take part in that, and people that try to use suicide or threats of suicide, I don't react to that. Um, I could be called callous sometimes on that. The point is, it doesn't matter. If you're going to look at the faults of these victims and say, oh, well, that explains it. Bullshit. It's like if somebody walks through a park. I know you're not saying that. This upsets me, this issue. You're walking through a park at night, and the mugger's a mugger. He's a criminal. And if you're going to say, oh, well, it was the person's fault for walking there, they shouldn't walk there, then what's going to happen? Those criminals are just going to expand their criminal area. So you don't do, deal with things that way. But I did mention the people and that can't. And there's those of us that just emotionally are not in a position to or whatever. But um, there's also people that just never will be able to. They're mentally handicapped or they're physically handicapped. And they could probably strike up too and bring a knife and nobody'd screw with me. We don't want to promote violence. The people that do not resort to violence for whatever reason, either because of the strength of their character or because they're afraid, they're not the problem. The problem is the violence. So we need to, prosecute the people that perpetrate violence. And some people have said, oh, but bullying's too abstract a crime. You'll never. That's like, oh, sexual harassment's too abstract of a crime. No, sometimes it's hard to tell. And it does put requirements on the victims to, for example, report it. In sexual harassment, you have to make it known that it's unwanted. And I think maybe you just don't know how bad the bullying is. Okay, there's tons of bullying. Hawaii is terrible for that. Bullying to the point that, there's sixth grade kids that have gotten their head in fights. Physical, it gets to a physical point and knock the other kid against brick walls and stuff, okay? And I just don't think people know. This is not a subtle. This is sanctioned by a lot of administrators who just don't want to deal with this problem. They don't want to confront the bullies' parents. They just want to. If people will just drop it, they'll just drop it, and it's just part of growing up, and it's good for you, as a matter of fact. It's not subtle. Okay, we're not talking about this. When we get to the point, and people, what I'm going to call somebody some name one time, and no, not one time. Just like if you make one comment or ask somebody out at work, that's not sexual harassment. Okay, there is a leeway there. You know, the leeway is given even to the people that are harassing from day one. Okay, the problem is right now it is so pro bully. It's like the prison system, and we just act like, well, that's the way a prison should be. The prison should be full of homosexual rape. It's a criminal. Kids should have to legally required to go to a place where they're bullied every day. Sure, well, that's just the way it is. There's no. We're not near the point of balance where we're going, hey, maybe we went too much. Maybe those kids just deserved, to be understood. Maybe there was some reason. We're not near that point. Okay. So, but anyway, so I got in some replies to other people. But anyway, Sal Palani, yeah, the kids are not, they're not required to stand up to their bullies. And in fact, it's just as well if standing up to the bully could mean reporting, a bully and something actually happens about it. It's not like people have to be thrown in jail right away, obviously. I mean, I've stood up to bullies for my kids. They're getting bullied and racial bullying and stuff. And you go in and and I talked to the to a really good principal about it. He's like, look, usually when we catch these kids, we bring them in the office and we talk to them they usually feel really bad and they stop. And there's other reasons. We find the other reasons that are going on. Sometimes people have real problems at home. It's hard for them to stop. But generally, uh, his view was not only does it work to stop the bullying, but often it can turn that kid around. People are not really as invested in being a bully as they are, nurtured into it by silence and nobody ever getting involved. You get the authorities involved a little bit, and if they're strong-willed adults, um, then then no, you're not demonizing the bully. Everybody, the bullies have reasons, deserve some sympathy, and the rest, but their behavior doesn't deserve sympathy. It can't be tolerated, and that's all we really need in a lot of cases. But we have these people, that you got to just believe in this alpha dominant kind of society, and that it's natural, and that the cream rises to the crop. And yeah, it's a violent froth where the violent rise to the top, and it's a function of our culture. And we really always will plague with this as long as we run an economic system in the world based on oppression and putting people down. But we can fight this symptom right now. We can also work on our society, getting our society into a mode where the society itself doesn't generate so much of this reaction. All right, cheers.